Well, a wife isn't quite sure what to get her husband for his birthday. You know what it's like. So after a lot of thinking, she decides to ask him directly. Well, he says, fancying his chances a little bit, nothing would make me happier than a brand new sports car. So the wife's delighted and decides to get him exactly what he asked for. Nothing. Don't try it at home, I would suggest. We can do nothing. I can do nothing. You can do nothing. The church can do nothing without the Holy Spirit. The prolific Christian writer John Stott put it like this: without the Holy Spirit, Christian discipleship would be inconceivable, even impossible. There can be no life without the life-giver, no understanding without the Spirit of truth, no fellowship without the unity of the Spirit, no Christ-likeness of character without his fruit, no effective witness without his power. As a body without breath is a corpse, so the church without the Spirit is dead. You know the story. They're all in the house together, minding their own business quite happily, in the same way we often do, maybe too often in this last year or so. Then suddenly these three amazing things happen. A sound like the blowing of a violent wind comes and fills the entire house. I'm guessing it would have been a bit unsettling. But as if that's not enough, they see what look like tongues of fire which rest on each of them. You can imagine them looking at each other, wondering what the heck's going on. Well, what's going on is they're filled with the Holy Spirit. And then the third thing happens. They begin to speak in languages different from their own, and as the Spirit enables them to speak, so others arrive who can understand them in their own native languages. It must have been an amazing thing to see. In fact, we know it was. The disciples are described as utterly amazed, as people chatting away in various languages, and somehow people can understand them. No wonder some people laugh and say that they're drunk, and Peter sets them straight. He says, no, they're not drunk, they're filled with the Holy Spirit. From sitting quietly together inside the house, this must have come as quite a disruption. But then the Holy Spirit can do that. The Holy Spirit can be disruptive. A few weeks ago, I pulled a dad stunt on my son Joseph. He was sitting quietly outside on the patio playing computer games, just for a change, in his own little world. And having spotted him outside from an upstairs window, of course, I couldn't resist. I got some water and poured some silently from a great height on top of his head. And he jumped a mile. Arms and legs everywhere, a sudden look of confusion, looking around and then looking upwards to see my grinning face, and a look of anger and revenge, which led him to chase me around the house and the garden with a loaded bottle of water himself. It was a bit naughty, but very satisfying and enjoyable. But the Holy Spirit can do the same kind of thing. Stir us up from even the calmest and most boring of places. Transform our lives in ways we can't possibly imagine. Change where we think we're going. Rip up our plans and take us somewhere else. Robbie Williams once sang, "I talked to God and he just laughed at my plans." 12 months ago, I wasn't even thinking about moving. Wouldn't have imagined being in a new and different place by now. A new call, a new venture wasn't on the agenda. I was, I guess, in that kind of stable and calm place the disciples were before Pentecost. Thought the plan was just more of the same. Somehow the Spirit moved, as only the Spirit can. God laughed at my plans and disrupted everything, and